You know the feeling, right? You are just completely, utterly exhausted, but your mind is running a full-blown marathon. Well, let's dive into this incredibly common, but really deeply misunderstood experience, what I like to call the 2 a.m. trap.
The scene is always the same, isn't it? Those numbers on the clock are just glowing back at you. The room is dead silent. The entire world outside is fast asleep.
And right there, that's the paradox. Your body is practically screaming for rest. Your eyes feel heavy, but your mind is going a million miles an hour. It's replaying that dumb thing you said 5 years ago, it's planning for disasters that will probably never happen, and it's drumming up fears out of thin air. Look, this isn't just a simple case of insomnia. This is something way more specific.
Just let that sink in for a second. It's not that your brain is broken, it's staging a takeover. And to really get what's happening in the dead of night, we first have to look at how you manage to keep all this chaos at bay during the day. See, during the daytime, we're armed. We have this whole arsenal of distractions that keep our inner world from getting too loud. But here's the thing, that's just a temporary truce. It's not a victory.
Think about your average day. Your mental energy is constantly being used up by the outside world, right? You've got demanding work, a never-ending to-do list, conversations with people, maybe a podcast playing in your ear. All of these things act like a shield, keeping those internal thought loops suppressed.
Well, the external world goes quiet. The phone screen finally goes dark. And that shield you've been holding up all day, poof, it just vanishes. And in that sudden vacuum, your internal world doesn't just wake up, it violently explodes.
So let's get into the neurology of this. What's actually going on inside your head? When all that external noise finally stops, a very specific part of your brain wakes up and grabs the controls.
It's called the default mode network, or the DMN. And it's basically always there, just waiting in the wings. The second you stop focusing on something out there, like when you lie down to sleep, it fires up. Now, it's supposed to be helpful. Its job is to process your day, sort through memories, and do a little self-reflection. But it doesn't work the same way for everyone.
And this right here is the key difference. For a lot of people, the DMN is like a gentle guide into sleep, bringing on soft, drifting daydreams. But for an overthinker, oh no. It doesn't bring daydreams, it unleashes a hurricane. Every single unresolved issue, every unprocessed emotion just floods your mind at once, and it all demands your immediate attention.
This is such a crucial point. The problem isn't new. It's been there with you all day long. The nighttime just strips away your defenses and forces you to finally face it.
And it gets even more complicated. It's not just the quiet of your room that's creating this storm. Your own internal body chemistry is actively working against you.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the biochemistry and the psychology behind this. There is a hormonal chain reaction and a really powerful psychological principle that basically turn your mind into a war zone at night.
All right, this part is key. Cortisol, that's your stress hormone, is supposed to be at its absolute lowest point at night. But because you've been ruminating and analyzing all day, yours stays artificially high. Then around 2 a.m., it actually spikes. This spike suppresses melatonin, the hormone that helps you sleep, and it lights up your amygdala, your brain's threat detection center. So your brain starts scanning for danger. But hey, there are no tigers in your bedroom. So what does it scan instead? Your memories, your anxieties, your social interactions.
So the cortisol explains the feeling of panic. But what about the specific thoughts that haunt you? Well, that brings us to something called the Zeigarnik effect. Basically, your brain cannot stand an open loop. It's hardwired to remember unfinished business way more vividly than things you've already completed. It's screaming for closure.
And at 2 a.m., that mental snooze button you've been hitting all day just stopped working. And bam, every single open loop comes rushing back at once. That email you still haven't answered, that awkward conversation from last week, that deep-seated fear you keep pushing down, that decision you've been putting off. Your brain is trying to do routine maintenance on a backlog that is absolutely massive.
But here's the trap. An analytical mind doesn't just look at the file. It starts rewriting it. You replay one conversation, and suddenly you have 10 new ways it could have gone. You consider one potential problem, and it breeds 50 new what-if scenarios. Your mental to-do list doesn't get shorter. It multiplies exponentially.
Now, at this point, you're probably thinking your brain is just broken. But it's not. It's actually executing a deeply ingrained, but now totally outdated survival code. Let's get to the real root of this. I want you to think back, way back to your childhood. Was your environment unpredictable?
Was there conflict or instability? Did you have to constantly be on high alert just to feel safe? Because if you did, your nervous system learned a very, very powerful lesson.
See, to fall asleep, you have to be completely vulnerable. You have to let your guard down entirely. But for a kid in a chaotic environment, that feels incredibly dangerous. So your nervous system adapted. It developed a state of chronic hypervigilance to keep you safe. You might be a grown-up now living in a safe home, but your brain is still running that old software.
Just let that one sink in for a minute. What you're experiencing is not a personal failure. Your brain genuinely thinks it's keeping you alive by trading your sleep for what it perceives as safety. It's a successful, albeit painful and outdated, survival strategy. So, with all of this frantic, middle-of-the-night analysis, what's the end goal? What is your brain trying so desperately to find?
It's hunting for one thing: absolute certainty. Your brain believes that if it can just think hard enough, if it can analyze every possible threat and solve every potential problem, it can achieve a perfect 100% guarantee of safety. And only then, it thinks, will it finally let you rest.
But here's the brutal truth. Perfect certainty is a ghost. It doesn't exist in our world. You cannot think your way into a guaranteed future. It's a mental program that literally has no possible endpoint. It's like trying to divide by zero.
So the final takeaway here is this: more thinking is never going to be the answer. Safety will never come from finding the perfect thought. Your brain is a survival machine, and it doesn't want a logical argument. It wants proof. It needs to physically learn that the night is safe again. The real question then becomes not how do I outthink this fear, but how do I show my nervous system physically that I'm already safe?